North Carolina is known for many things, from the mountains to the beaches to the cities and all of everything in between. But when you are moving to North Carolina, you might be thinking, should I be moving to Asheville or Charlotte? They're really close. What's the difference? Well, if this is your question, you're deciding where to move in North Carolina, this video is for you. So be sure to stay tuned to the very end. I'm going to give you all of my personal insights because I've lived in both cities and let you know and pick which one is best for you. If you're looking for everything Charlotte, North Carolina, from the good, the bad, to everything in between, including South Carolina, go ahead, hit like and subscribe and stay tuned for more videos just for you. In addition, if you want to know exactly when I post a new video, make sure to hit that notification button and you're going to hear everything you need to know about Charlotte, even things you didn't know you needed to know. I get calls, texts, emails every single day from people just like you looking to move to the area. And to be honest, whether it's 9 days or 90 days or you're moving across the country or just across town, I would love to hear from you. Shoot me a call or a text, shoot me an email. Let's get connected and make your move exactly what you want it to be. So let's dive into our video for today. We are talking about Asheville, North Carolina versus Charlotte, North Carolina. Now, on the surface, you might think, well, duh, they're really different. Charlotte is a massive city. Asheville is a smaller city up in the mountains. But I'm going to point out a few differences in these towns to hopefully help you make the decision of where you want to move. So let's talk about the first most obvious piece, location. That's right, Asheville is located up in the valley of the North Carolina Smoky Mountains, and I absolutely love, which by the way, New Yorkers, this is how it's pronounced. It's Appalachian, not Appalachian. That's right, I grew up saying that. It's Appalachian. The Appalachian Mountains are actually running all the way from Georgia up to the northeast. Now, with that being said, this town of Asheville is absolutely stunning. If you want mountain and country life, this is the place where you need to be. Now, on the flip side, Charlotte, North Carolina is a larger city, not in the mountains. We are south of the mountains, actually southeast, but we do still have access to the mountains very quickly. Honestly, you could drive about an hour outside of Charlotte and be hiking at Crowder's Mountain, or slightly further north and head up to Boone for a day in adventure in the woods and in the mountains. But we are not located in the mountains. While there might be some really hilly areas and we do have a lot of opportunity for lakes, we do not have that mountainous atmosphere. Now, when we're talking about weather, the weather's different as well. Charlotte, North Carolina really doesn't get snow. I mean, for those of you that are going to be naysayers saying, yeah, we do. We do and can get snow, but for example, the last 3 years, we haven't gotten much at all, hardly even over an inch. Whereby up in Asheville, they do get snow every year, and a lot of times it's significant snowfall, and it's multiple times throughout winter, which is pretty cool. On the flip side, in summer, Asheville is usually about 10 degrees cooler on average than Charlotte is. So if you love the warm summer months and you love hearing the crickets, but you don't love the absolute heat, Asheville might be a better option for you. When I was living there, we could live with or sleep with the windows open, and that was really all we needed. For those of you who are more hot-blooded, you might still need the AC. However, in Charlotte, it does stay pretty hot in summer, and you can have evenings that are up in the upper 70s. So that's a huge difference. But we do still have crickets, and you do still have the sounds of the woods if you want it. And so let's talk about some of the other differences. If you are coming from a major city, Asheville might be a little bit of a culture shock for you. Why? We're talking about 100,000 people versus almost 1 million people here in Charlotte. That's a really big difference, like 10 times difference. The other big difference with regards to Asheville, if you're looking to go there from a big city, such as maybe you're in LA or Florida, maybe even in New York, or maybe you're coming out of Dallas, Texas. If you are looking to move to Asheville, the pace is also a lot slower. That's right, Asheville is more of a retirement area. A lot of people come from all of these areas to retire to Asheville, but even the overall feel of Asheville is slower. Let's face it, you're in the mountains, it's laid back, and it's the South, and it's the Bible Belt. So you are gonna have to slow your roll and slow your pace down when moving to Asheville. Now on the flip side, if you are moving from a bigger city to Charlotte, you're gonna fit right in. While the pace isn't as fast as perhaps Manhattan, It's still a quick enough pace, and we have a lot of New Yorkers and a lot of Northerners specifically in Charlotte, which means that same speed and mentality also comes to North Carolina, which is pretty cool. I'm not talking any of the negative things. I'm talking that we're a little bit quicker. I'll put it that way as a native New Yorker. So when you're moving to Charlotte, it's going to be more within that pace. The other thing you're going to notice is not only the population density, the types of available housing, the different price availability on housing, closeness to things like public transportation and all kinds of entertainment, but also you've got still closeness and nearness to outdoor activities, including whitewater center, lakes, hiking, etc. So Charlotte, I feel like, is a better mix for those of you that are moving maybe from a bigger city, because it's not going to be as much of a culture shock, and you can still go out on the outskirts of Charlotte and get that nice woodsy or more country or more rural feel without having to be in the mountains. So let's talk about some of the available things in Asheville versus Charlotte. Asheville, yes, you are driving literally 5 minutes and you can be on the Blue Ridge Parkway. You can go hiking, check out waterfalls, go kayaking or whitewater rafting. All these things are pretty close. Now, here's the challenge with that. It also comes with a higher price. That's right. The average price point in Asheville is $488,000. Now, that you might have heard some of my other videos and been like, well, Kayla, so there's houses that expensive in Charlotte too. Here's the flip side. In Charlotte, while we might not have as much accessibility to the mountains specifically, we still do have greenways and mountain biking and trails and whitewater rafting outside of the Whitewater Center, actually. If you go just a little bit further south, we do have whitewater that has just opened just off the 𝗖𝗀 River, which is very exciting for a lot of people that are local here. But it's not going to be a 5-minute drive, right? So you might have to go slightly farther to get those types of advantages, but it also comes with the benefit of cost of living being a lot lower. Average price point, or should I say median price point in Charlotte, is $395. Now that encompasses all of Charlotte, all areas of Charlotte, so some are more expensive and some are less. It also depends upon what kind of home you're looking for. You could have the outdoors you're looking for, but be a little bit more cost effective. Now, if you're somebody who absolutely loves the outdoors, you love the woods, let's face it, you cannot recreate the magnificent views that you find from some of the outlooks on the Blue Ridge Parkway or some of the hikes that you can go on. In addition, there's camping in Asheville. I love Asheville. Some of the other things I also love about Asheville are the arts. Asheville is a huge arts society. Because of this, you're going to see all of those influences throughout Asheville. Now, another thing that you're going to see in Asheville, guess what? It's a lot of a, how should I say this? It's a hippie town. It really is. It's a hippie town. You have a lot of people that really just want to enjoy life and live it. And honestly, a lot of them don't have that straightforward 9-to-5 job. Now, that's what you're going to find downtown. But as you go to the outskirts of Asheville, you're going to find a lot of people with a different mix. Families, those that have retired, etc. But it's a huge mix of people all throughout Asheville. Now, when I lived there, I was in high school, and my parents, as well as my in-laws, still live up there and have been for the last 20 years. But the biggest changes that Asheville has seen is growth. There are so many people moving to Asheville that things have started to expand. Now, some might say in a good way, but most of the locals say it's not. One of the biggest challenges that Asheville faces right now is the fact that they are building more and more homes, more and more developments, more and more apartment complexes, but they're not upgrading the infrastructure. What do I mean by this? Well, for those of you who live in South Asheville, I'm sure you know exactly what I'm talking about. You can't go anywhere near Sweeten Creek Road or Hendersonville Road anytime between 4 p.m. and 6 p.m. without sitting in bumper-to-bumper traffic. The reason being is the population has grown and houses have grown and more apartment complexes have grown all along those roads. In addition to that, there's been more shopping, such as a Publix and different types of fitness centers, and you name it, it's there. In fact, there used to be cows on that road when I was in high school, and now it's a bank and several other things such as an apartment complex. But what I'm getting at is they haven't expanded the roads. So the problem is you have more people using the same 2-lane and 4-lane roads every single day. In addition to that, and I would say a lot of you know this as well, up over Mills Gap, those areas have also expanded greatly, and it's still only a 2-lane road. Even at noon, you could be waiting 15 minutes in line to take a right-hand turn. So that's a big challenge. Now, if we're looking at Charlotte, Charlotte is also growing very quickly. It's one of the top 10 fastest growing cities in the United States. It's the second biggest banking capital in the United States as well, which has helped fuel that growth in the economy. Now, the difference you're going to find in Charlotte is we have more space to expand. That's right. The way that Charlotte has been designed is that we have an inner belt of 277 right around the city. Then we have the outer belt of 485, which goes all the way around Charlotte and pretty much encompasses Charlotte/Mecklenburg County because they're almost one and the same. But outside of that, we have additional towns and communities. But the way that the roads have been built, not only are they built so they can be expanded, most of them have been expanded to allow for the new population growth. Now, some of these roads have been expanded, like the northern stretch of I-77 has two optional toll lanes and 2 just regular lanes, sometimes 3. But you also have the southeast side, where 74 turns into a toll lane just outside of 485, and it's not optional. It is a toll lane if you want to use that road. Now, aside from toll lanes, we're also seeing expansion where the roads are becoming from a 2-lane to a 4-lane. We're seeing additional roads being built in Charlotte. And there's also been expansion into more public transportation. That's right, the light rail was completed a few years ago, connecting the north side of the city, which is up by the University of Charlotte, all the way down to pretty much, I believe it's South Tryon and the intersection of 45. So it's like the lowest portion of Charlotte. That has expanded with a train. This gives people that commute on a daily basis another option aside from driving. Asheville, on the other hand, does not have that option. So that makes it a little bit more challenging. Let's talk about political climate and what you can expect. Now, there's different political climates all across the United States, but I get this question a lot, so I want to make sure I bring it up. Asheville is more of a liberal community in town. This comes a lot with behind the arts, and it really is more of a Democratic location. Charlotte, while also leaning more Democratic, it does have a very nice mix, in my opinion, of both Democrat and Republican views that truly do come together to make the city something really incredible. Now, depending upon what town or outskirt you go to, it could lean more one way or the other. But the nice thing is, if you really take a look at it, it's a very eclectic mix of different people, different opinions, and both of those do come together to make a really great city. So I truly do love and appreciate all the opinions that come together in Charlotte. So let's talk about another thing. If you are planning on visiting anywhere outside of Asheville, it's going to take you a little while to get there. The closest city to Asheville would be Charlotte. Now, to the south, you also have Spartanburg, South Carolina. Not as big a city, but I'd say your biggest major city would be Charlotte. Next biggest major city is if you go a little bit further east off of I-40. And that's going to be your High Point area, Greensboro, etc. Then you go further out, you hit Durham and Raleigh. But here's the thing, you have to pass through Charlotte to get any of those locations. In addition to that, the actual drive between Asheville and Charlotte is about 2 hours. Really not bad. So if you really like the mountains but maybe don't need it every day, it might be more of an advantage to live in Charlotte with the lower prices in both houses and living expenses, more availability to great food, infrastructure, and the economy, and a better availability to get to other places within the state, such as the beach within 3.5 hours, then living in Asheville and then visiting everywhere else. This is what a lot of people have come to the decision of, including my parents, and are moving out this way. But Charlotte truly is a nice little hub where you can offshoot from just about anywhere to visit the mountains, and not just Asheville, but also up in Boone. You can also head down south and get into South Carolina very quickly. You can hit the beach, whether it be Myrtle Beach, or Charleston, or on the north side, go to Wilmington or Topsail Island. Any of those within about 3.5 to 4 hours. Again, coming from Asheville, that turns into a 5 to 6 hour drive. That is going to take a little while and it'll be a little bit exhausting. And last but not least, I'm sure there's plenty of other things I can add to this. By the way, if you guys are liking this content, go ahead and hit like and subscribe. I'd truly appreciate it, and drop your comments below. What are some of the other differences you see between Charlotte and Asheville? One of the other things that I want to note, it has to do with transportation. And I don't mean inside of the city itself, I mean flights. That's right, if you want to fly anywhere, Asheville does have an airport. It's a small airport, literally off Airport Road in South Asheville, and they have now introduced flights that connect Asheville to New York for a very reasonable rate. I want to say it's under $350, which is great. But most other flights coming out of Asheville are going to either connect in Charlotte or somewhere else before leaving for its final destination. The challenge with that is the price for flights is usually much higher than leaving for a major city. In addition to that, depending upon where you live in Asheville, it could be a longer drive. Even from South Asheville, it still takes 15 minutes to get to the airport. If you're on the north side of Asheville, or maybe out in really any of the outskirts, Clyde, you name it, it's gonna take you a while to get there. On the flip side, in Charlotte, we have two airports. We have our main airport, which is the Charlotte Douglas International Airport, which is on the west side of the city, and really just about anywhere you are in the city, it'll take you a maximum of 30 minutes to get there. From the north side, it's, well, depending upon how late you are for your flight, anywhere from 20 minutes to 15 minutes. So with that in mind, we have a great international airport right there, which does fly to pretty much everywhere in the country. Most times I can get just a nonstop flight to anywhere I want to go, which is amazing. The other airport that we have is up in Concord. Now this is where a lot of small private planes fly in and out of. It just is a lot easier to do that. You can even take flight lessons there and learn how to fly. So you can also get some more discount flights, such as Allegiant Air. Now Allegiant Air is one of those, you just bring a backpack and you can get on the board. But you can get really inexpensive flights on Allegiant that connect to New York, connect to Florida and other areas of the country. So here's the question. Should you move to Asheville? Should you move to Charlotte? Should you move to Charlotte then visit Asheville? The decision is completely up to you, and both of them have a completely different vibe. What I recommend, visit both, give me a call, and let me know when you make the decision to move here. So I hope you guys got a lot of information out of this and it helped you maybe make your decision or look into things that you hadn't looked into before. Until next time, whether it's 9 days or 90 days, you're moving across the country or just across town, be sure to give me a chat, whether it's a call, a text, or an email, and I'd love to make your move exactly what you want it to be. Until next time, I look forward to showing you around town.